Omer started his career at Microsoft Research in Cambridge, one of the most prestigious data science environments in the world. Then walked away to build a startup. Bold move always. Today, Explorium, the said so startup back then, is redefining how agents find and use external data. Omer, welcome. I'm so excited to chat with you today.
Hi, Clara. Same here. Very
Yeah.
exciting and happy to have a chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thanks so much for joining. And let's start with the original story. You built Explorium alongside Maor and Or, two of them who came from the Israeli military intelligence world, and then you came from Microsoft Research in Cambridge. How did three people with such different paths end up building the same company?
Well, that's a long time ago. That's already 8 years ago. Maor and Or knew each other before. I happened to meet with Or that he was looking to build something, and I was as well. After Microsoft Research, I spent a few years in IronSource, kind of leading the data science team. And then when I thought about what the next step was, I felt that taking the entrepreneur journey might be interesting. And I kind of started looking for partners and for ideas. And I met All, and All knew Maor, and then we all came together to kind of, start that up. But that was a very long time ago. It seems like a different life already.
Yeah, I know time passes, and then I think that all the time as well. When you have a memory sometimes and you're like, wow, that was a long time ago. That's a little scary, but I bet that you just got that feeling.
Yeah, like wow, that seemed like a different life. Like so,
Yeah,
so back.
that's awesome. Anyways, but every founder has a moment when the real problem shows up and clicks. For you, when did it become obvious or not that the biggest bottleneck in data wasn't the data itself? It was actually buying, integrating, and using external data in production.
I think that's a good question. Both in IronSource and also before in Microsoft, I needed to use external data, and I work with many different data vendors and kind of stitching together multiple data sets in order to build models and those type of things. So there, we it was clear that it's very difficult to actually doing that.
Yeah.
So when we got together, all three of us, and all three of us had a strong, I would say, data experience. All of us are experienced in data and know how painful it is to work with lots of data. So it was obvious that was part of what we should do. Mao actually came up with the kind of the original idea. He actually built a prototype that we can then play with. Back then, it was the right way. Many things changed during that 8 years, and from then we kind of switched into focusing machine learning, and then we focused more of go to market, and now we're focusing on kind of the best of both worlds on AI on one side, and then how to provide data to AI and agents on the other side.
Yeah. And, working with data, it is a little still time consuming and it takes a lot of hard work. Our people are online 24/7, handling the data sets and delivering it and using all the tools to make it perfect. But of course, right now we have machine learning, like you said, AI makes it much easier. I cannot imagine how hard it was 8 years ago compared to what it is now. If today it is time consuming, I don't want to hear how time consuming it was back 8 years ago.
So I think that the interesting piece is if you think about AI, now AI let you collect other type of data, and I can give examples in a few minutes. But I think that if you think about handling data itself, the data engineering behind that, that didn't change a lot. I think that the main pivot was actually more than 8 years ago with introduction of Spark and Databricks and those type of company that allow you to actually handle data in scale. But I think that what AI gave us is the opportunity to collect actually very different type of data sets, and very even for a small niche, something that was simply not economical before. So before AI was here, and you wanted to know, as a data company, and if you collect data, imagine that you want to know whether or not a specific company is a B2B or B2C company. The only way you could have done that without AI is start building kind of usually a very complex system that will try to identify keywords and try to predict whether or not a specific page, a website maybe, talks about a company which is a B2B or B2C. With AI, is super simple. It's let you as a data provider, and also our customers as data users to get very different data points, which is very useful for them. Think about how do you do qualification, for example. Up until, I would say, 2 years ago, people went into website after website and check whether or not this is a B2B or B2C. We even had a customer that wanted to know, he's specifically selling to gyms, and he wanted to know if the gym have a yoga class or not. Why? Because they have some like component or module to that. Up until like 2 years ago, they manually went website after website for gyms and look to see if they have a yoga class. Today is very easy doing that with AI.
Yeah, and a much more mundane way. A couple months ago, I was still in New York, and what did I want to eat? I wanted to have a croissant breakfast sandwich. I just wanted to have a croissant breakfast sandwich with, bacon, egg, and cheese. Classic in New York, right? And then I thought, where in this town can I get it? Um, how far is it? I thought so many questions, and then I thought, okay, I can ask my friends who have lived here for 25 years, or I can look up on Google, or I can just ask ChatGPT, where can I find a bacon, egg, and cheese in a croissant in Long Beach, New York? And then it gave me all the options. Yeah. And then I got what I wanted in 30 seconds. Of course, that takes away from the human connection that I could have texted my friends and wait 30 minutes to an hour for them to answer until I can get my breakfast sandwich. But, yeah, now you can do things much faster.
But now it's like it's opened up more time for you to actually have a human connection, not asking question about croissant. Uh,
Exactly.
that's still it's a time saved that you can now spend with friends and family. So it's a good thing overall.
But, anyways, let's talk a little bit more about your role models and inspirations. Sometimes we have them, sometimes we have ideas on our own. Who were the people or companies that inspired you, the most as you were figuring out this space? Who were you watching and thinking, okay, that's the kind of thing that my partners want to build?
That's a very interesting question. I didn't think about that for a while now. I think that's back when we started, like their focus focus was on a company named Data Robot. It was back then it was in their height of their success.
Mhm.
We thought this is a really cool company to kind of to run, and they know what they're doing and like so on. And I think that over the last years, they're still around. They're a great company, but I don't think that they're in the height of their success anymore. And I don't think or perceive them as role modeling in that sense. Or now we also shifted toward other areas, so not even a competitor. But I think that's over the course of the last year's 8 years, it's feels like a different person. I'm a different person, and I think
Yeah.
that there is different companies and focus area that I would or kind of think about. At this particular point, I think Anthropic is doing absolutely amazing job kind of pushing out their AI. And I think it's not about making, and I think Anthropic is very clear about that. It's not only about making the model better, so the LLM will be smarter, but it's also around, kind of building the ecosystem around it. We're part of that ecosystem. We see a lot of success just being in their ecosystem. And I think that it's very interesting and exciting to see kind of what they're pushing out and actually enabling anyone to use AI in any, creative way that he can think about. So, if I need to say, if I need to ask about, if I need to think about that now, eight
Yeah.
years later, it's probably be Anthropic.
And we evolve, right? Things change, we evolve, products evolve, companies evolve. Saying that Anthropic is doing an amazing job is an understatement. I almost want to unfollow them on LinkedIn because I just can't keep up. Um, it's like every second of every day, like, look at this. This is a new, insane, highest tech you could possibly imagine thing that just released. Enjoy. And then I'm like, I have so much work. I can't. I can't keep up. And then, it gets to the end of the day, and then you go use Claude, let's suppose, and it's fantastic. Like I said, an understatement, but thanks for sharing that with me. Now, you left a senior applied researcher role at Microsoft, one of the most prestigious positions in data science, really, to go build a startup back 8 years ago. And again, sorry for such nostalgic
Ah,
question. But, what did the people around you think back then, and did you have any doubts? Like, how you went from somewhere that was stable, stable paycheck, stable work to start something.
Again, before that, I spent a few years in IronSource. So it's actually started Explorium after IronSource and not after Microsoft. But I think that the same idea, just leaving Microsoft was a big decision. We were in Cambridge. We had two kids back then, two small kids. But I think that one of the things that I was interested in and kind of thought this is relevant. I always felt that I'm an okay developer and I'm an okay researcher, but I'm much better manager. I think you should talk to people that I manage to verify that. But overall, I think that my true value is in leading teams. It's easier from that perspective. I provide more value, so I wanted to take kind of the management track within Microsoft Research is pretty slow. Microsoft as a whole is a slow progression. And I wanted to see if, I wanted to have a shortcut, which you shouldn't ever try, but at that point was, was interesting.
Yeah.
And that's what I did. I actually left Microsoft to kind of lead in a smaller company. Back then it was Supersonics and which was bought by IronSource. And then I felt confidence enough to build something on my own. So, I just needed the confidence, I guess.
Yeah. Well, first of all, do a reference check with your employees who report to you to see how good of a
Sure, I'm
manager
not
you
sure that they will say the same, but at least
are.
I feel that.
At least you feel good.
I feel that way. Maybe they don't. I'm sure that
That's
they don't.
funny.
I'm sure some of them don't. Let's just be honest about that.
Let's be clear. But yeah, no, and taking shortcuts, they feel good. Shortcuts feel good, and sometimes we just want to go for it, and that's okay. About the progression into bigger roles at Microsoft or any big enterprise, big company, it's just standard, right? What might take me 5 years to do in a startup can take 15 years for me to do it.
Yeah, just to be clear, I loved Microsoft Research. I had a really good time there. In many cases, I look in nostalgia to that time back then, not only because of the work, but also just me and my wife and the kids in Cambridge was without the family, kind of the bigger family, and we both have bigger families.
Yeah,
So it was a different time, and it was it was very nice for a long while, for almost 5 years.
yeah.
But I don't think, and I'm not regretting leaving. There's different things and different experience that you should do or you want to do, and I'm happy that I had the chance to do.
Yeah. Oh, nostalgia. That's going to be the headline of this episode. But now let's get into the present Explorium. Let's chat about it. For someone who hear or audience hearing it for the first time, what is external data? Why does it matter for businesses' outcomes? And why is it so hard to actually use? Is it hard to actually use?
That's a good question. So external data is anything that does not belong to the company or to the system that the company runs. So, if a person had a chat with your sales guy and this was recorded in Gong or any call recording app, then this
Mhm.
is your first party data. This is something that you create and owned by you. However, if you want to know news or event that happened to a specific company and you know that through news stream or through social media, that is actually what we call external data or third party data, which is collected from, let's say, the open web as a starting point, but there's other places you can collect as well to give you insight about a person. Or when you say external data, it can be in anything. It could also be about an individual, just not even the professional hat of that individual. As a person, he likes football and stuff like that. It can be about marine time information, how much shipping there is, and so on. Specifically, Explorium is focused on B2B data for go-to-market use cases. So specifically around sales and marketing. Our
Mhm.
focus is around businesses and around people that work in that businesses, employees. And we provide companies with insights about, their target customers and so on. Our focus is specifically to provide that type of data to AI agent. This is a focus that we had in the last 2 years. How can we make sure that any AI agent that needs that type of information in order to to complete his task successfully can do that easily with Explorium? So he can connect to our platform and get all of the data that he needs and any type of B2B data that he needs, and he can do that quickly and easily.
Okay. And what does it look like when you walk into a new customer? What are the biggest pain points that you hear over and over and over? What are they struggling with and what they sometimes don't even realize that they are struggling with?
Yeah. So I think that most of our customers, we have kind of many of our new customers are more of a what we call go-to-market AI builders. Think about an AI SDR company as an example. Those type of companies use a lot, need to use a lot of different type of data. So they have one customer that is more of a, and selling to enterprise. So they need just the 10K and kind of information about public company. They have another customer, a different customer that actually sell to SMB. So they need to know more about maybe food chains or maybe restaurants or whatever. So every customer have a different need and associated with that a different data need. So those type of company need a breadth of data. They need to be connected to lots of different data points. And that one of the first pain point. The second piece is about actually connecting or integrating with Explorium. So we offer different type of integration from MCP to CLI to API that they can use, basically different way that their agent can interact with the data. All of that is synchronous and that type. And obviously they need quality data. So usually we go in when they have pain point with at least one or two of those three issues, and then we know how to solve them.
Okay. Thanks for sharing that with me a little bit more about the problems that the clients face that they come to Explorium with. Very interesting and such an impressive work that you're doing, helping those companies with these agents. But you've said before that the approach to data management must always start from the business problem, which makes sense. Predicting which leads will convert, which customers will churn, which loans will default. Most companies still collect data first and ask questions later. Why does that keep happening?
So working with data is challenging, especially with different type of data and kind of trying to harmonize different type of data into one. It's hard. So we do see a lot of companies that are not using the data they should, but the data that they have. So they have access to A, B, or T or C attributes. They're going to use that instead of kind of maybe trying out and looking for different approach. I think that AI actually changed the game there because if you give the agent like access to any data points and ask him just to do whatever you need, the agent can actually look at all of the data available and make a decision what type of data he want to use. So instead of the person to actually say, well, it's very difficult to harmonize multiple data sets, the agent can actually connect to companies like Explorium and say, well, I have 30 different enrichment endpoints I can use. I see that enrichment C, technographic, is very important, might be very important for my particular task, and then he can use that. So kind of the whole approach that we started with, which is more of a human centric, how human use the data, is converted about 2 years ago into how agent and AI can use the data in order to get, task completed.
Yeah. And I like that you said that it's shifted 2 years ago into how AI uses it. But at the end of the day, the people are going to consume what the agent is helping them with. So, it's still focused on people. It's just done in a different way, which is essential, in my opinion. So, thank you for sharing that with me. Wrapping up now, talking a little bit more about right now, what things are happening in the world. We're living through a lot, right? Like we were saying about, let's suppose, Anthropic releasing news every millisecond of every day. It's a lot. Economic uncertainty, geopolitical shifts, the AI race, the data race now that honestly just started, in my opinion. How does the state of the world actually affect your daily decisions as a CEO?
That's a good question. So I think that because we're we highly involved in kind of the ecosystem around AI. So we're always looking and kind of researching what can we do with the data and how we can enable agent to use our data. So we're really, in the cutting edge of what that means to work with agents. So it's super exciting. It's moving way too fast, as you said before.
Yeah.
It's moving way too fast. But I think that one of the things that I like about it is that you need to start thinking differently. Vibe coding is a great example for that. I'm a technical person. I spend the last 20 years or so working with devs and building systems. And it's super important that the system will be well designed and well architected, and then it will be well tested and well maintained. So everything will run smoothly and so on. But I think that AI actually changed the paradigm again. In a sense, it's not too bad to have something that is not fully, 100% well architected and so on, just to be out, just to start testing and see if that actually works. In my experience, it's about one or two out of 100 ideas is actually a good one. I don't know what that said on me, but maybe people have much better ideas than me, at least from a probability perspective. But at least from my book, I can have 100 ideas. Most of them are bad. So the ability to actually test quickly and kind of, I understand that the quality is not there yet, fully 100% quality. I understand that this web page could be better. But let's see what happens when people start to interact with it or agents start to interact with that and see how that tested. So I think that the idea is AI changed the way we think and allow us to do different things. And we need to adapt and we need to adapt quickly, as we said, everything grew very quickly. So I
I
think that
know.
this is kind of the how we think today. We kind of change everything into how can we do that differently? How can we do it faster? How can we do that using AI? How can we do that better?
You have to adapt. It's something that you don't like, that you don't want to accept. You want things to be the old school ways. There's a lot of, you hesitate a lot to make a change and to stop thinking the way that you used to and start thinking in a new way. It's very difficult sometimes for some people, me included. So you have to adapt. And when you do, the other side looks very nice. So it's a good thing to do. Now, thinking about different companies, what they do, their product, do you think that all companies will stay behind if they don't use AI, or all fields? Because there are some fields, let's suppose property management, do they need too much AI? Do you think that they'll stay too much behind? I know a lot of old school property management companies.
So the quick answer is yes, they will stay behind. I had a good example of that. Like I don't know, about 3 or 4 months ago, I took a taxi in Tel Aviv here, and I took a taxi from one place to one position to the next, and I had a chat with the driver, and like how do you got here? Like talking about his life story, and he's been a taxi driver for, I don't know, like 30 years. And I said, well, are you not concerned from autonomous driving and so on? No, autonomous will never get here. And I think that 15 years ago, I understand that we always thought about autonomous driving. Next year, everything will be autonomous driving. It will take some more time, but it will get there. It will get there. It will get to a point where you won't drive and there will be cars that will take you from one place to another. So I think that that will be also true, with general AI from that perspective. Property managers, it might be that they can handle some of the tasks manually and not use AI. However, those that will use AI will have an advantage than those that doesn't.
Yes.
It's not that I'm not sure, like, well, it's clear today that AI will replace some positions or some type of professions. I don't, it's either AI will replace your job or someone that use AI will replace your job. That's it. So you should
Yeah.
you should try it at least.
You should adapt. This was very informative. I love learning more about Explorium, about you. So thank you so much for joining. For the audience, follow Omer, Explorium, see what they're up to. And thank you for joining again today.
Thank you for having me. Thank you. It was a really nice time. Thank you.
Yeah, of course.
Of course.
Alrighty, have a good one, and I'll see you next time.